The lights of the reunion stage felt warmer than James remembered. As he walked out to greet the crowd, the applause was loud, loving, familiar. But beneath it, he sensed something else. A pause, a curiosity, the kind that isn't spoken out loud but travels fast through glances and whispers. James smiled anyway. It had been years since Dawson's Creek ended. Years since he last stood in front of fans who still carried pieces of that show in their hearts. For them, time had frozen him as Dawson Leary, the earnest boy with big dreams and bigger emotions. But time hadn't frozen James. Time had changed him. When the reunion photos hit social media later that night, the internet reacted the way it always does, quickly and without context. Headlines focused less on nostalgia and more on his appearance. He looked so thin. Is he okay? What happened to James Beek? James saw the comments in the quiet hours of the night, scrolling on his phone when the house was finally still. He didn't feel angry. He felt tired, not of the questions, but of the assumptions. The truth was simpler and heavier than people realized. I'd lost so much weight, he later explained, his voice calm, grounded. It wasn't a dramatic confession. It was a fact. Life had taken more out of him than it showed on screen. Stress, responsibility, the kind of pressure that doesn't make headlines but reshapes you from the inside. There were months when he barely recognized himself in the mirror. Months when food felt like an afterthought and rest felt like a luxury. He wasn't chasing an image. He was surviving a season. Standing on that reunion stage, surrounded by old friends, he felt a quiet moment of clarity. They had all changed. Some carried success differently. Some carried loss. Some carried invisible battles no one clapped for. James realized then that people weren't reacting to his appearance because they didn't care, but because they did. So he chose honesty over silence. He spoke about weight loss not as a shock factor, but as a reminder that bodies tell stories. That health isn't always visible. That aging isn't failure. It's proof you're still here. I'm okay, he said, not as reassurance, but as grounding. And I'm listening to my body now. The conversation shifted after that. Less judgment, more empathy. Fans share their own struggles, illness, stress, grief, recovery. The reunion became more than nostalgia. It became connection. James Beek didn't return as Dawson that night. He returned as himself. And that, quietly, was the most powerful role he'd ever played.